The jury leaned in, the courtroom so silent it could suffocate, and just as she opened her mouth, the woman accused of killing 3 people with a single dinner finally broke her silence. Not with tears, not with denial, but with a chilling calm that made even the judge shift in his seat. Before we begin today's story, please let us know where you are viewing from. Please remember to subscribe if you like this video. "I didn't mean for anyone to die," she whispered, but it wasn't the words that stunned the courtroom. It was the way she said them, flat, measured, like a nurse reading vitals of the already dead. For 324 days, Erin Patterson had said almost nothing, not publicly, not even privately, as the world tore her apart, dissected her past, and called her everything from a heartless killer to an innocent scapegoat. She had invited her ex-in-laws over for lunch. Her ex-husband's parents, Don and Gail, and his Aunt Heather and her husband Ian. But only one of them would walk out alive, and he would barely survive. The others would convulse, sweat, and seize their way into early graves within hours of Erin's homemade beef Wellington, the last meal they'd ever taste. And when tests showed death-cap mushrooms, Amanita phalloides, the deadliest fungus known to man, inside their stomachs, Erin Patterson went from host to homicide suspect in the blink of an eye. The police zeroed in like sharks smelling blood, but there was no clear motive, no confession, no eyewitness, just the bitter stench of betrayal and 3 dead bodies. The world waited for answers, the tabloids feasted on every theory, and still, she said nothing, until today. Cameras clicked. The prosecutor rose. And Erin, dressed in black like mourning her own life, was sworn in under oath to tell the truth. "Did you knowingly serve toxic mushrooms to your family?" the attorney asked, each syllable slicing through the tension. "No," Erin said, eyes glassy. "I bought dried mushrooms from an Asian grocery store. I didn't know they were poisonous." But the prosecutor pressed harder, slicing away her calm. "Then why didn't you get sick too?" That was the question. Why did she live while the others died? Erin hesitated, blinked, and replied, "I did get sick. I went to the hospital. I was treated for poisoning." The court saw the medical reports, but suspicion lingered. Because that wasn't the whole story. The mushroom soup she said she also ate had mysteriously been tossed away. Her dehydrator, used to dry mushrooms, had been thrown out before police could examine it. And most chilling of all, when asked by a friend what kind of mushrooms she'd used, Erin allegedly wept and muttered, "I'm going to jail." Now, on the stand, she painted a picture of a woman trying to impress her estranged family, not a murderer setting a trap. "I didn't know how else to connect with them," she said. "I thought a warm meal might help bridge the gap." But that bridge was soaked in blood, and prosecutors argued she had motive. Bitterness from a crumbled marriage, financial stress, a history of tension with her ex-in-laws. Her ex-husband Simon had narrowly escaped the deadly lunch, declining the invite at the last minute. And as the case unfolded, Erin's tears flowed, but so did contradictions. First she claimed all the guests ate the same meal. Then she said the beef Wellington fillings were different. When asked why she didn't mention throwing away the leftovers until days later, she looked down and whispered, "I panicked." But panic, the prosecutor reminded the jury, does not explain deliberate actions like disposing of the dehydrator. Erin's defense argued she was grieving, that she destroyed it in shock, terrified of being blamed. But the law deals in actions, not emotions, and the victims' families sat stone-faced, waiting for justice. One by one witnesses were called. Friends, neighbors, grocery clerks, each adding or subtracting from the fragile web of Erin's truth. Then came the toxicologist, describing in grotesque detail how death caps attack the liver, causing days of agony before death, often tricking victims with a recovery phase before the organs fail. "They ate, they smiled, and within hours they were dying," he testified. The jury squirmed. Erin wept. But did she cry for the dead, or for herself? That was the question eating at the soul of the courtroom. Then, in a twist nobody saw coming, Ian Wilkinson, the lone survivor, took the stand. Thin, pale, and visibly shaken, he described the hours after the meal. Gail collapsed first, then Dawn, then Heather. I remember pain, so much pain. He paused. But Aaron, she seemed fine. The room froze. Ian's voice cracked. I don't want to believe she did it on purpose. I can't. But something's not right. That uncertainty cast a long shadow. Because there were no fingerprints on the mushrooms, no clear evidence of deliberate poisoning, only circumstantial strands woven into a noose. But circumstantial doesn't mean accidental. It means the truth hides in the margins. Aaron's lawyer urged the jury to see a grieving woman caught in an impossible storm, not a criminal mastermind. This was a tragedy, he said. But it was not a crime. The prosecution countered with fire. 3 people are dead. You don't get that from an accident. You get that from intent. And then Aaron, barely above a whisper, said something that twisted the room in knots. If I could trade places with them, I would. But would she really? Her insurance policy had no payout. There was no financial gain. No evidence of premeditation. But there was silence. Cold, calculated silence for months. And silence is often the loudest scream of guilt. The jury retired, and the world waited, holding its breath. Was she a murderer in disguise, or a mother whose attempt to reconnect turned fatal? As the verdict approached, Aaron sat alone, lips pressed, eyes hollow, and in that moment, she looked not like a monster but a mirror, reflecting every dark possibility of what could go wrong when trust meets tragedy. The gavel hasn't fallen yet, but her story has already stained the pages of history. 1 lunch, 3 lives, and 1 question that still haunts. Did she know? Before you go, what do you believe? Was this murder or a deadly mistake? Comment your theory, like if you think she's hiding something, and subscribe for more chilling real-life mysteries that make you question everything.